मरण मोहनजू की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती। Sorry, I spaced out. Nityula Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashvatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityula Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashvatara Shata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nityula Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gokshara Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Nityula Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Nityula Pravishta Vaiṣṇava Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanātana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jīva Gopala Patadash Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodarāṣṭakam Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Namachay Śrīla Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda Ki Jai. Shri Mona Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Let me check the calendars. Today anything special? Shri Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Rāsa-pañcādhyāyī Ki Jai. Shri Damodar Vrat Ki Jai. Urja Vrat Ki Jai. Urjeshwari Shiva Shubhananandini Shrimati Radha Ṭhākurani Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Pravrajantamanupetamapeta-krityam Dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava Putreti tanmayataya taravo bhinedus Tang sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatosmi Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet Shrinvatang swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhrit Satam Nashta Prayesh Pavadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Kshiptastakama Ditaranga Madhe Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribol, say Shri Mataji and Madhavi Didi, Dandavat Pranams to both of you. So today it's going to be a short reading since I started so late. I was speaking to somebody and I didn't even realize what the time was. Well, actually, I did kind of realize what the time was, but anyhow, it was difficult to get out of. Okay, where is it? Rāsa-pañcādhyāyī. Oops. So what verse are we on? We're doing 5 today, I think, right? Just 5. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just reading one verse because I don't want to finish overtime, and I want to get through Dāmodarāṣṭakam also. Okay. Shri Shukadev said, "O king, in this way the Vraj-gopis sang out their laments in various captivating ways as they were drowning in separation from their beloved Sri Krishna. Unable to control themselves in their pitiful condition, they began to weep loudly in very sweet, heart-rending voices that resounded with their ardent desire to see their lover. At that moment, Sri Krishna, the crest jewel in the dynasty of Shurasen, appeared among those wailing damsels of Vraj. His lotus face was blossoming with a gentle smile. A garland of forest flowers hung around his neck, and his body was wrapped in a dazzling yellow cloth. His beauty was such that it turned the mind of Kamadev, who himself turns the hearts of everyone. Gopi's eyes blossomed with the bliss of love on beholding that their most beloved Sri Krishna, who is even more attractive than tens of millions of cupids, had personally appeared in their midst. They had been helpless, but now all of them stood up together, as if their divine life heirs had re-entered their lifeless bodies, revitalizing every limb with new consciousness. One gopi happily caught the lotus hand of Shori Shri Krishna between her joined palms, and another one kept his arm smeared and another one kept his arm smeared with sandalwood pulp on her shoulder. Kachiranjalina Grinath Tanvitambulacharvitam Ekatarangri Kamalam Santaptastanayor Adhat. Raj Sundari took Shri Krishna's jeweled tambul betel net in her hand. Another gopi, whose heart was agitated in separation, sat down and placed his lotus feet on her breasts. Śrīla Sanātana Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. Anjalina means with joined palms. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmipāda's Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. One delicate-limbed gopi accepted in her joined palms the betel nut, the tambul that Sri Krishna had chewed. Here, the word tambul indicates that in every kunja, Sri Vrindadevi had kept all the items needed for refreshing and redecorating the divine couple, such as tambul, garlands, and sandalwood pulp. Or, this work was accomplished under the auspices of Yoga Maya. Although the word Shori in the previous verse has not been mentioned here, nevertheless, it is understood that this gopi accepted his tambul in her joined palms in her anjali. However, Here she is not endeavoring for Sri Krishna's touch, but rather for getting the nectar of his lips. This gopi is gentle, almost like a servant, but actually in the mood of friendship. She is subservient to her beloved and is a right-wing heroine, Dakshinā-nayika. Some gopi held Sri Krishna's right hand. Some gopi held Sri Krishna's right lotus foot on her breasts. Because Sri Krishna had already placed his left arm on another beloved's shoulder, he was standing with his weight on his left foot. At this time, Sri Krishna was still standing. At this time, Sri Krishna was still standing. Later, it is written that he will take a seat. Therefore, that gopi herself sat down and took hold of Sri Krishna's lotus foot. She did so because her heart was agitated, burning in the mood of separation. In some versions, hridaya, heart, is used in place of stanayo, breast, meaning holding Sri Krishna's lotus feet on the upper portion of her heart. She is bold, prakara, having a mood of friendship mixed with a sense of servitorship, controlled by her lover, and is a right-wing heroine. One second, before we get into Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha for this verse, let's look at the previous one. So the previous one says, one gopi caught the lotus hand of Shori Shri Krishna between her joined palms, and another one kept his arm smeared with sandalwood pulp around her shoulder. So those two were the first one who took his right hand in her hands. Due to that respectful touch, it is understood that one, that gopi is endowed with the feeling of belonging to Sri Krishna, tadiyata, instead of madhyata, that Krishna is mine. And her love is called Ghrita Sneha, resembling ghee. It's nourishing. Ghrita Sneha is ghee because it's nourishing to the body. No, I forgot. I've heard this explanation before, but I forgot it. But it's not so sweet. But honey is nourishing to the body, plus it is sweet. But no, I heard a better explanation than that. Anyways, whatever. We'll see. Then 2, she's subservient to her beloved. And 3, she's a right-wing heroine, Dakshinā-nayika. Moreover, she was the first to touch Sri Krishna. So it is quite evident that she is the senior-most gopi, Chandravali. Okay, so that was Chandravali. And the next one, who took Krishna's arm around her shoulder, she possessed madhu sneha, possessive attachment which is sweet like honey, but somewhat mixed with reverential ghrita sneha. Her love openly displays a sense of friendship, suhrit paksha. She has brought her lover under her control, and she has a rightist inclination, dakshina. Therefore, she is Shamala. Okay, so that verse was Shamala and Chandravali and Shamala, and now in this verse, we'll find out. Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha. One gopi accepted Sri Krishna's chewed tambul and her joined palms. This heroine is one endowed with a friendly nature, right? Is endowed with a friendly nature closely akin to servitorship. 2, she is controlled by her sweetheart, and 3, she is a rightist, dakshina. Therefore, she is endowed with the of tadiyata, the sense of dedication that I belong to Krishna, laced with ghrita sneha, a friend like ghee. Therefore, she is Shaibhya, the friend of Chandravali who is mentioned at the outset. Another gopi, agitated by the distress of separation, sat on the ground. With her 2 hands, she took hold of Sri Krishna's right foot and placed it on her breast, thus pacifying herself. At that time, Sri Krishna was standing with his left arm resting on the shoulder of another beloved, and his left foot supported on the ground. This was his position. She is a gopi with 1, a mood of friendship tinged with servitorship, 2, controlled by her hero, and 3, having a right-wing mood. For this reason, this gopi is also a heroine endowed with 1. The mood that, O Krishna, I am thine, that's tadiyata bhav. And 2. Ghee-like affection, grita sneha. Therefore, she is Parma, another of Chandravali's Sakis. Okay, I'm just going to stop here and move. Now, should we read one more? Let's read one more. Ekabhru kutumabhadya prema sangramba vivala gnanti vaikshat katakshepai sandashta dashana chada. Some other gopi, completely agitated from the anger of love, had raised her eyebrows and was biting her lips as she began to frown at Sri Krishna, all the while piercing him with the arrows of her sidelong glances. Wonder who that is. Anangaranga Mangala. Sanga Bangura Braham. Okay. Śrīla Sanātana Bhāvārtha Dīpikā. Bhrukutim abhadya, raising her eyebrows in a curve like a bow. Prema sangramba vivala. She became overwhelmed in her loving anger. She bit her lips and, as if chastising Sri Krishna, glowered at him with disdain. Śrīla Jīva Gosvāmipāda Vaiṣṇava Toṣaṇī. One Vraja damsel became agitated, absorbed in the anger of affection. Raising her eyebrows and biting her lips, she was glaring at Shri Krishna as if to chastise him with her cutting glance. In some versions, sandashtai is used in place of katakshepai. Both have the same meaning. This gopi's glance, she was expressing her intense annoyance with him and reproaching him. The gopis mentioned in the previous two verses are right-wing heroines, having a submissive moods towards Sri Krishna. They stepped forward and caught hold of his different limbs and accepted his beronat, tambul. All the while, Krishna stood in the same place, unable to move because they were holding on to him. This is what has been revealed. The gopi in this verse, exhibiting this nature, stood at a distance. Nevertheless, she bestowed the topmost happiness upon Sri Krishna, scowling in intense loving anger. This is related in Sri Vishnu Purana. One particular Vraj damsel raised her eyebrows to express her anger. As she examined Sri Krishna, she began to drink the honey from his lotus face with the bumblebees of her eyes. Should it be a capital H because it's referring to... Okay. Two sub-ecstasies, namely Vivokta and Lalita, are exhibited in this verse. Vivokta is described in Ujjvala Nilamani 1152. Due to pride and anger, the heroine shows disrespect toward the sweetheart or objects that he has given. Such disrespect is known as vivoka. Ujjvala Nilamani 1156 defines Lalita thus. Lalita is a sub-ecstasy in which all the heroine's actions, the movement of all the limbs, displaying tenderness, and gestures of the eyebrows are manifest in a most fascinating way. This Vrajdevi is 1. Prakara, very intense in nature. 2. Susakhya, endowed with a pleasant mood of friendship. 3. Having completely controlled her lover. And 4. A left-wing heroine, a Bhama Naika. Okay. Śrīla Viśvanātha Chakravartī Thakur's Sārārtha Darshini. One gopi, agitated out of intense loving anger, bit her lips and arched her eyebrows like a full-drawn bow. She was glaring at Sri Krishna as if aiming the arrows of her glances at him, wanting to pierce him the quick. I've never heard that expression before. Have you heard that before? She was to the quick. Okay, cool. Her mood suggests she was thinking. Sorry. Oh, crest jewel of swindlers, you successfully experimented on us, giving us the deadly halahal, the halahal poison of pure prem for you. As a result, our life heirs have practically left our bodies. So why have you come to burn our life heirs again? That gopi looked at Sri Krishna in such a way as if to say, I know very well what kind of person you are. She was biting her lower lip and hiding her mouth behind her hands, thus displaying her anger. This gopi has madhyata bhav, the sense of possessiveness that Krishna is mine, which is laced with madhu sneha, honey-like affection. This combination gives rise to her crooked, quarrelsome nature. She is Srimati Radha. Shri Raseshwari Shivashabhanunandini Srimati Radha Ṭhākurani ki jai. Okay, so we can end here. And now we will move on to Dāmodarāṣṭakam. Dandavat pranams Cakravartī. Where is Dāmodarāṣṭakam? Okay. Namamishwaram Sachirananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Prajamanam Kuveratmajo Badam Murtaivayadva Tvayamachito Bhakti Bhajakrito cha Tatha prema bhaktin swakame prayacha Namokshe graho mesti Damodareha Namamishwaram Sachiranandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam. Let me just look at this Sanskrit. Yeah. Okay. Just bound. Just as. Okay. I'm not going to be able to explain this verse so well because I didn't look at it before. But I haven't looked at any of them before I started. But let me try. Okay, so Kuveratmajo Bhadda Murtaiva Yadvat. So Yadvat means just as. Just as Kuvera Atmajo, so that means the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriv, just as they were Bhadda Murtya. No. They weren't Bhadda. They weren't Bhadda Murtya. That's referring to Krishna. So yeah, okay. Okay. So Tvaya Mochito Bhakti Bhajo Kritocha. By you, Krishna, who are Baddha Murtya, who are your divine form, your Murti was Baddha. So by you, Tvaya Mochito. Those two sons of Kuvera, they were Mochito. They were delivered by you. And they were the Bhakti Bhajo. Those two were the recipients. They were of and then Kritocha. Oh, you made them. By you made them. Krito, you made them. You delivered them, and you made them recipients of bhakti. Bhakti bhaja. That's what Krito means. You made. So Yadvat Tata. I think it goes together. Yadvat means just as, and tata means similarly, like this here. Usually tata means and, but I think here it means like that. Tata prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha. In the same way, prema bhaktim, prayacha. Prayacha means please give me prema bhakti, swakam. Does swakam mean unto you, like your own bhakti, like bhakti to you? I don't know. Anyways, na mokshe grahomesti damodareha. So graha means yearning. So I do not yearn for moksha, na mokshe, no moksha. Do I yearn for mesti? And for me, there's nothing that, all I want, iha, is this Damodar. Wait, let's read the translation. I need to study this before I actually explain all the words a little bit. Oh, Damodar, even though you are bound with a rope to the grinding mortar by your mother, you set the two sons of Kuvera, Nalokuvara and Manigriv, free from Śrīnarad's curse that they live as twin Arjuna trees, and enabled them to become recipients of the highest possible attainment, bhakti. In the same way, please profusely bestow upon me prem bhakti for you. I long for this alone. I do not want any other kind of liberation. Okay, so let's see the Dig-darśinī-ṭīkā of Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmipāda. I think tonight when I read my Gurudev's commentary, I'll be able to do the word for word better. So this is a Bhāvārtha of Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmipāda's commentary. In the previous verse, Sri Satyavarta Muni prayed with great eagerness for direct darshan of Sri Bhagavan because he was overcome by a special kind of prem vishesh. However, due to the extraordinary longing in his prayers, a form of prema bhakti instantly awakens, indicating the sprout of prem, or the stage of bhav bhakti, causing him to realize that such direct darshan is only rarely accomplished. Therefore, having determined that prem bhakti is certainly the only means to attain that darshan, he now prays to Sri Bhagavan with the hope of attaining prem bhakti. Alternatively, the sage fears that his mind will not be satiated after having Sri Bhagavan's darshan only once, and at the same time, he dreads the agony of separation from Sri Bhagavan when he will not be able to see him the very next moment. He therefore prays to attain prem bhakti, having ascertained that prem bhakti is the sole means of capturing the Lord forever. Despite this conclusion, he still felt apprehensive. How can such a severe offender like me attain the most rare treasure of prem bhakti? However, he was comforted when he remembered Sri Bhagavan's glorious quality of bhakta vatsalya, by which Sri Bhagavan makes the impossible possible. With this conviction, he rejected all varieties of moksha. And now, in this verse beginning with Kuveratmajo, he exclusively prays for prem bhakti. With the words Baddha Murtyaiva, the sage says, despite exhibiting the exceptional characteristic of allowing Sri Yashoda Gopi to bind you to a grinding mortar with rope, in your divine form, your Sri Vigraha of Sri Damodar, in other words, even in this exceptional form in which you yourself are bound, you delivered the two sons of Kuvera from their bondage. Even in this form in which you are bound, you delivered two sons from their bondage. The two sons of Kuvera from their bondage. This statement reveals the incomparable fortune of the twin Arjuna trees who were able to see and touch Sri Krishna personally while he enacted his supremely enchanting pastimes. Sri Krishna had pulled the grinding mortar behind him and crawled between the two trees. Although he was himself in a state of being bound, even though he was himself being bound, he liberated Mochito, the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvara and Manigriv. But he did not just free them from Śrīnarad's curse and liberate them from material existence. He also gave them both prem bhakti for them. They were bhakti bhajo, they were recipients of bhakti. If someone is addressed by the phrase bhaktim bhajata, recipients of bhakti, it is understood that they have irrevocable shelter of bhakti as the ultimate goal, and they will never neglect bhakti in any way. Therefore, when the sage says, bhakti bhajo kritocha, you made krito, both of them so dedicated to bhakti. When he says this, he is clearly indicating that Sri Bhagavan granted them prem bhakti. In this regard, a statement found in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.10.42, spoken to Nalukuvar and by Sri Bhagavan, is evidence. By Sri Bhagavan himself is evidence of this. Sanjato mai bhavo vamipsita paramor bhava. The prem for me that you both greatly desired has now fully arisen within your hearts. Because of this prem, you will never again become trapped in material existence. Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmipāda explains this verse as follows. Sri Bhagavan is saying, O Nalukuvar and Manigriv, the prem, the Parama Bhava for me, Mai, that the two of you, Vam, desired, Ipsita, has now fully arisen, Sanjato, in you. Therefore, you will no longer have to suffer the pain of repeated birth and death and material existence, Abhava. Sri Satyavrata Muni prays, O Damodar, just as you granted prem bhakti to those two sons of Kuvera without any cause, similarly, please profusely bestow upon me prem bhakti for you, which is characterized by taking absolute shelter of your lotus feet. Or, please grant me prem bhakti for your beautiful form as a small child who is bound by your mother's rope. Shri Krishna may ask, why are you insisting on prem bhakti to the exclusion of everything else? Why will you not accept liberation, moksha, as well, just as the two sons of Kuvera did? Otherwise, you have to repeatedly suffer miseries like birth and death within this material existence. Sri Satyavrata Muni explains, I only insist on attaining this prem bhakti. I do not want to accept moksha. Right? Like Kapila Dev says, Diyamanam nagrinati vina matsevanam janam. The meaning of Sri Satyavrata Muni is, if my repeated birth and death within material existence is destroyed by bhakti, then let it be destroyed. And if it is not, then I do not care. I have no expectation either way. The sage's deep mood is understood by a simple example. If someone obtains a wish-fulfilling Chintamani gem, then he will easily attain everything else. Therefore, in the presence of prem bhakti, what is the use of accepting a simple, insignificant boon like moksha? These words of the sage may also be understood in another way. He prays, O Damodar, please grant me prem bhakti specifically to you. Here, by addressing his lord as Damodar, the sage prays for prem bhakti that is specifically related to the form of Bhagavan whose belly is bound by rope. It is possible to interpret this to mean that the sage selfishly wants Sri Bhagavan's waist to remain uncomfortably bound by a rope forever. Fearing his prayer may be misunderstood this way, he says, Na mokshe graho mesti. Do you think that I want you to remain tied? That I don't want you to be released from the bondage of your mother's rope? Overwhelmed with regret, the sage says, I am certainly concerned for you. However, kindly grant me that uncommon prem bhakti, which I fervently cherish in relation to your exceptional form as Damodar, who is bound by the prem of Mother Yashoda. Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmī reveals yet another meaning of this verse. One can also interpret the word iha in this to mean here in Vrindavan. By this interpretation, it is understood that the sage prays, please grant me prem bhakti in Vrindavan. Accordingly, the special joy of that prem bhakti only appears in Sri Vrindavan. Because such prem bhakti manifests predominantly in Sri Vrindavan, the sage prays to see the bound form of Sri Bhagavan there. This special form of Sri Bhagavan, when he is tied up, can only be seen there. So in order to see this form directly, and also because of his extraordinary desire to see Sri Vrindavan Bihari, Sri Bhagavan as he blissfully enjoys in Vrindavan in his threefold bending form, the sage is praying to reside in Sri Vrindavan forever. All this is directly conveyed through the word iha. The other portions of this verse are not affected by this and should be understood according to the explanation already given. Thus ends the English rendition of the Dig-darśinī-ṭīkā on the 7th verse. Okay, so we'll read my Gurudev's commentary on this verse in the evening time. And then I guess we'll finish tomorrow. Jai Shri Damodar ki Jai. Shri Ashoda Damodar ki Jai. Shri Radha Damodar ki Jai. Shri Satyavrata Muni ki Jai. Śrīla Sanātana Gosvāmipāda ki Jai. Shri Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki Jai. Okay. So, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so later on today, I'm going to read an article by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada called One Must Only Hear from Sri Guru. Maybe I'll read from that in like a couple hours from now. I don't know. And then I want to try to finish Dāmodarāṣṭakam by tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because on Anukut, I wanted to start doing something in the evenings where we can go over the verses of Govardhan Vas Prarthana Dashakam and try to understand the meanings of all the words, and then try to memorize it so that we can sing it without looking at the songbook and be understanding what we're singing. So I was thinking of making a video every other day so that you can, yeah. All right. So that would start on Anukut, which is in, what is that, 3 days from now? I think so. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Shila Gurudev ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatara Shata Shishimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shatashmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shilagorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchiraranda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaiṣṇava Sarvabhauma Shil Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupa Anuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jīva Gopala Bhatta Dashagunath, Shar Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Nam Acharya Śrīla Haridas Ṭhākura ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kunda ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai. Shri Kartik Vrat Niyam Seva ki Jai. Shri Damodar Vrat ki Jai. Shri Dāmodarāṣṭakam ki Jai. Shri Yashoda Damodar ki Jai. Shri Radha Damodar ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Rāsa-pañcādhyāyī ki Jai. Raseshwari Shri Vrishabhananandini Srimati Radha Ṭhakurani ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaiṣṇava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavascha, Krishna Bhakti Padadevi, Satyavataya Namo Namaha, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta, Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranam to everybody. See you all in a couple hours if you want to join my reading of this article. All right, Haribol.